Yeah, I was going to say mine was turned off.
There's like chocolate on my microphone.
There's chocolate on your microphone. Nope. We're going to step in that later and it's going to smear across the white tile. It's going to like duty stain on the floor.
I like how you're so comfortable in saying things like that.
Duty.
Yeah.
Because it's funny.
Like, I'm the one with 2 sons and you're like totally relaxed with poop jokes.
Poopy. It's funny.
This is a topic of conversation in your house a lot.
I don't know. I feel like because of all of my stomach issues, I talk about shitting a lot anyway, so I'm just very comfortable with it.
Lack thereof shit. That's my stomach issues. So yeah, we don't talk about it.
Right.
Except for when it does happen and I'm like, thank you. It
feels so good.
I'm like so excited. I was like, I'm going to take a shit, everybody.
I know when you left me the 2 times, I was like, please, Lord, let this happen for Wendy.
I was like, I think I have something to take care of.
So,
anyways, this is the Poop Podcast.
I was going to say, thanks for joining us on the Poopy Podcast. I just like duty and poopy. I like those words.
That's disgusting.
No, really?
Yeah.
Duty and poopy?
That's so gross.
Welcome to our Duty and Poopy Podcast.
I'm going to throw up.
Where we discuss... Actually, it's Creatures of the Night podcast. I'll stop.
Yeah, so this is actually a paranormal podcast. So
oh, shit. I was on the wrong podcast.
So I'm Wendy.
Oh, and I'm Chris. Hi.
Oh, hi. It's so nice to meet you.
Holy shit. How are you?
Hair color as
We
I
sure do. I have the same hair color
It's
as you.
funny how we like the same things.
And I didn't even know that you existed prior to 10 years ago.
Meeting you in this bathroom.
I mean, yes, to meeting you in this bathroom. It was actually way longer than 10 years ago. I don't know. My brain just farted. There's another one that I like. Farts.
What is wrong with you? You're disgusting. It was way over 10 years ago that we actually met. But I guess it was only like 8-9 years ago that we first discovered that we both like the paranormal. And that weird, like for like 4 years that we knew each other and I was supposed to say like each other, and then I'm like, actually I hated you.
We were friends through a mutual friend.
Frenemies.
So we were kind of like, okay, everybody's here. And because you were there and I was there and everybody else was there.
And we were brought together because of this one mutual person. Mm-hmm. So for me, and the asshole that I am, I was like, Chris thinks I'm so fucking cool.
I am cool.
Yeah. You were the same age as our mutual friend, and you two got to hang out more. I was a little younger. Mm-hmm. I'm younger, just so everybody knows. I'm winning in this game now. Now, bitch.
Fuck, that was not cool.
No, but back then, being older was cool. So,
only because I could.
This is not sounding like a compliment, but it should. I mean, I like looked up to you guys and I was like, Chris is so fucking cool. She's everything I would like to be. And like our mutual best friend has the best time with her. And so I'm like,
just because I'm a badass.
I fucking hate her.
And then me and you became best friends, and that was all she wrote.
Right. We started talking about ghosts and you were like, wait, you like ghosts? And I was like...
And I shut the whole rest of the world out.
And then it's like, no one else is here.
Yeah.
From now on.
It was like...
8 years later, we're
do you
alone
believe
in a bathroom
love
together.
After love?
That's exactly the way it went.
I know. Everything else was shut the fuck down.
Pedestus?
I don't know about that.
I'm thinking of like unicorns with
Pegasus.
I'm like, Pegasus? That's like pedestal tools? No.
I thought it was a whole new thing that I had not learned about.
No, Pegasus.
Like the wallpaper we saw today was so badass. Have you ever seen?
A griffin. I like.
Yes, but it was Merlin riding a griffin on this woman's wall. I've never seen that before.
Amazing. So we toured a plantation home earlier today. I was like,
yes, we did.
A paranormal home.
That we did too.
We hope we did that too. Yeah.
We did a lot of fucking things today. And that's how we roll.
Yeah. We're
tag team that shit.
All the time.
All the fucking time. We're like, you know what? Let's do a paranormal tour.
Done. Went to bed at 3, wake up at 7. Yep. You at 6. Army roll out of bed. Anyways, got it. Me like, I need another hour.
Right. I'm not even going to talk about me.
Different time zone.
I was already told to not discuss the poopy anymore.
Not a shit podcast. So you stop This is seriously a paranormal podcast. We're trying to get this thing off the ground.
I've heard of those. And this is Creatures of the Night, by the way, right?
Yes, but you've heard of them. But have you ever heard of them with fantastic, hilarious women hosting them?
No.
That also talk about shit.
Not until today, guys. Today's Yo Day.
No, we're not anything special, but we still think this is fun. And
it is fun.
Yeah, and I got a discount on these mics.
So guess what? You guys get to hear us now on our discounted mics.
Oops. Sweet. So we're gonna tell you a story, right?
Yeah, we are. I was just on the way wrong page.
It's Louisiana. Woo, that sounded weird. Louisiana themed New Orleans Louisiana/New Orleans themed is what I'm trying to say.
How do you know I'm telling the story? And maybe I chose to not go with. Maybe I'm doing an Alabama story right now.
I wish you would.
No, I'm not. I'm not spicing it up. It's still New Orleans themed. It's still Louisiana themed, like you suggested, because we are still in Louisiana. We are still, as of today, in the Myrtles Plantation, podcasting to you straight from the amazing pink bathroom.
Love every minute of this. Yeah. So these are our days are numbered together.
They are
basically.
Oh. And like truthfully, because that's just how it rolls.
That's life.
That's life.
That's why we investigate the afterlife. To feel like there's something after this,
so that we'll still be friends and investigating something afterwards.
Really, that we just can't accept death.
I think after death, me and you
probably should seek therapy.
Well, yes, but I'm thinking like after life, me and you will still continue to investigate something, and maybe we'll just investigate murders.
If we are not together in the afterlife, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
It's gonna be fucking weird.
I'm gonna be like, Chris, my ghost is gonna be everywhere.
They're gonna see, for whatever reason, this ghost
gonna be everywhere we've ever been. I'll pop up in the Myrtles and I'm like, Chris, Chris, are you here?
I'll be in the Lemp Mansion.
What the fuck? Where are you?
Wendy, the bar's still open.
We're gonna sweet. That's right.
Right.
Let's make a pact now. Don't go to places that don't have bars after you die.
Okay.
Your ghost.
I will do my best to control that.
It
seems like I should be able to because it's my fucking soul.
That's how I feel about it. But until we actually experience it, I don't think we know.
That's a tough one. Well, I like to hope and think that I can control that. And yeah, sure. Do I need to spit in my palm to shake with you on that one?
Yeah, fuck yeah. If it's chocolate comes out when I spit in my hand, I'm sorry.
It's your mic.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Share germs.
You wiped that off on that pillow.
You know when you're a kid, you kiss your kid on the cheek and then they wipe it off immediately?
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck you.
Why would you do that? That was mama's kiss.
It came out my vagina.
Do you tell them that?
No, man. My kid thought people birth things out of butts until like a few weeks ago. Really? And I had to be like, oh, no, they don't actually.
That's not how it works.
That's not how that works.
No.
Because he was like, what if you're constipated when you're having a baby?
Then all of that shit comes out.
Well, it's coming out whether you're constipated or not.
Yeah. They make it come out.
To go back to our poop podcast.
Right, I thought you were
this is sick. Dual editing is what it is. We're actually going to work these both out eventually. Anyways, I was like, no, baby, that's not how that works. And he was like, it doesn't? And I was like, yeah, I'll tell you about it later.
Well, I'm sure he'll take like sex ed or something at some point where they discuss how all of that. My boy did. And it was like, you already learned about this?
Yeah.
And he's like, don't talk to me, Mom. Don't.
My oldest is like, I know everything. Yeah, I'm sure you think you do.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So let's hope you learned that from sex ed, not porn.
No.
I constantly tell you not to look at.
Please don't be.
No, not that he's looking at it. Just by the way, let me clarify. Not that I've caught him looking at it. I just assume.
I mean, they're boys.
They might be on the search for it.
Right. They have computers. They have access to them.
It's so easy.
Yeah, it is very easy. But you want them to understand what's out there, but you want them to respect women because they're your boys.
Yeah, and you also don't want them to live in a fantasy world.
That's very true.
So that's what I tell mine. mostly my oldest. My youngest is still like.
Did you look at the title? Did
what
you sneak
babies
a peek?
come out of butts? I mean, like he's clueless. But my no, I didn't look at the title.
Okay, good.
But my oldest, I have to be like, it's not real. That's not how it goes down. Nobody wants it that way.
Right.
Get that shit out of your head.
Please, for the love of everybody
like,
still
Mom,
around.
Could you leave me alone?
Because they're like, oh my God, my mom is really discussing this shit with me right now. I don't want to talk to my mom.
I'm trying to play Elder Scrolls. Leave me alone.
Let me go back to this fantasy world, please.
Yeah. Right. That's why I'm so insistent.
Hold on, son. I need to talk to you about porno.
The real.
So, by the way, even though we're talking about duty and porno, and I think we already introduced ourselves as Creatures of the Night podcast, we are going to read you a little bit of a history on a story that we've conjured up from Louisiana. We found some shit that has nothing to do with anything that we're investigating, but possibly something that we could tour while we're in New Orleans, because, as you know, New Orleans is one of the wickedest cities ever.
I'm sorry.
And I think that might have been a ghost. Was that a growl?
Yeah.
Was that one of the deer snorting again?
I think it was. I think they had too much potato chips and wine.
I'm never shocked by a burp. I'm never shocked by a fart. So, I mean, one thing that happens if you burp and I just keep right on talking, it's because it doesn't affect me one bit.
Right. We have to kind of remember that other people are listening to this, though. And they're like, oh, my God.
So, does that mean you're going to edit it out?
No.
Okay, then. Keep rolling.
Because I don't know how.
And the people that are listening probably don't even know the fucking song I'm referencing.
What? No. I bet they do.
I don't know. Nobody knows Limp Bizkit anymore. Nobody.
Oh,
they're
shit,
not relevant.
I couldn't remember who it was by. So it was like, maybe I don't know. I do, though. Anyways.
This is probably the moment where they tune out. She just referenced
Right.
Limp
It's the guy
Bizkit.
that fucked Britney Spears, right?
That's a song by Eminem.
Made a song about it.
Yep.
So that brings it a little more current.
Right. Because Eminem is still relevant. He just put a new album out.
And it was gossip and it was juicy.
And he's juicy. So, anyways.
Eminem?
Hell to the yes.
Oh.
Not Limp Bizkit.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was afraid you were going. I mean, like.
Let's clear things up. Correct on the Eminem. Who the fuck is Limp Bizkit? Exactly.
Right.
By the way, if Limp Bizkit, if you're listening, I love you.
Not me. Fuck you. No. I don't give a shit. I don't need your praise.
Fine. Okay, fine. I won't play. Okay. So.
Can't believe you got Britney, though. That's a big deal.
I don't know if it really happened. Do you? I don't know. It's gossipy, right?
Yeah, it's gossipy. She's so fucking crazy. I don't know.
I think, but I haven't heard anything from her for years. And now, and as a matter of fact, like she used to be hot in, like, I mean, music hot. Like even people that I would consider like friends, you know, in my circle, they listen to Britney Spears, and I'd be like, yeah, that song's actually pretty good. Like Toxic, I like that one. Right?
Yeah, I guess
it's not my style of music, but neither is something just knocked outside our door.
I'm not really sure. I mean, like, we definitely have neighbors. We'll admit to that. We're not like, we didn't rent out the entire Myrtles plantation by ourselves.
Shit.
Haven't went that kind of lottery.
Right.
We also wouldn't be hiding in the bathroom if we did.
Right.
I don't know. That was loud, as if it was like way too close to home. But it could, I mean, like the guests could have, I don't know, checking out all the doors.
Yeah. As long as our bathroom door just doesn't like fling open.
If flings it. You asked me last night, what's my like, we gotta go. Mm-hmm. That might be it.
We're in the bathroom where there's clearly no exit. And
there's nowhere for us to fucking go. So all I can do is hide behind you.
You know what? You say that. So here's that's so funny. Okay, well I'm glad you brought that up because if the door were to fling open, I imagine you flinging me towards the door.
Even though I'm closer to it.
Rah! Take her first. No, I don't know. If that were to happen, I mean, we're in kind of a fucked up situation. There's nowhere for us to go.
Right. Well, you know, so, at least we have wine.
I guess we better get on with this podcast so we can get it out there before we die.
Right.
So the next story, the next chapter in our podcasting is about. Actually, it's called "The Devil Came to New Orleans." I was actually shocked to hear the story because I'd never heard this one before, and it's kind of like one of those stories people tell their children at night. It seems like to me, it's almost like,
to like scare them from like going out and stuff like that.
It's to scare them away from maybe either a certain part of town or a certain area, like one of those kind of things. It's kind of an interesting story.
My dad did that my whole life.
Yeah, right. We lived in Memphis, so it was kind of
pretty easy.
All right, so I'm gonna get started.
What was that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I think I might have done that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It sounded like nails on the door, and I was okay.
Yeah. It was the cord, the mic cord hitting the table.
Now there's nails on the door. Okay. So the devil came to New Orleans. New Orleans, they say, is a city that is so haunted and so steeped in corruption that the devil himself once came to the city to live. He resided with his lover for a time.
I think he had the best time, too.
I mean, yeah. Yes. Because we were in New Orleans for a minute. And it
got me.
Right. We were like, the devil's here. We got to go. I saw this woman walking around that says, you need some Jesus. And I was like, that seems odd for this area. But now I'm telling you the story about the devil, the time the devil came to New Orleans. So maybe she's onto something.
I was about to say, isn't that a song? And it was like, no, the devil went down to Georgia.
That's a pretty good one, actually, too.
Love it.
And I don't know that story yet. So maybe next time, if we ever end up in Georgia, I'll find that story.
Right. You better.
Since I'm into devil stories. He resided with his lover for a time in an ornate mansion in at 1319 St Charles Avenue. So the fact that I know the address.
Didn't we? We're gonna take a trolley ride tomorrow.
We are taking a trolley ride.
In that hood,
and
basically.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the route that we were gonna take.
Don't get too excited yet. Hold on.
I want to see where the devil lived.
We might be able to. The legends say that he kept a woman there, an exotic creature with white skin and dark hair.
A vampire.
And yeah, of course.
I'm sorry.
She was an exotic creature. She must have been. And that he dressed her in the
sounds like an albino, actually.
Finest. No, because an albino would have pink eyes and like blonde hair. But she's got dark hair. She's just white.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I thought you just said white hair.
No. Oh, no. Dark hair.
Okay.
Dressed her in the finest silks and presented her with priceless jewels. Those who passed the house long after the devil took his leave of the place would notably walk on the other side of the street. They would point out a sinister image, though, that had been left behind on the front gable. It was a mysterious place steeped in murder, death, and sin, one that a passerby and neighbors avoided at all costs. The Devil's Mansion was a tall, imposing structure that was built sometime in the late 1820s, though no one seems to know the precise date. There are only vague records of the land being acquired, and then that the house seems to just have like appeared on the site like overnight. Like boom, somebody bought the land and now there's a house there. Like that's just the recollection of the folks from the time. And who knows, they might have all been drunk or high or stoned or what. I
just don't see what records would they have to keep if he paid cash for everything or whatever. And he just, I mean, like, why is there maybe hired shoddy construction workers and they didn't keep good records?
Yeah, they did. They were shoddy, but they built the
deed
place
of the land overnight. And then like bam, there's a house on it. That seems normal to me.
Much. The strange tales go on to say that the devil started the house with one room and then added another room to it each night. So I guess it wasn't overnight. Apparently he did a poor job though. And
that's such a weird thing to accuse somebody of.
Right?
Oh, he had one room and then every night he added another. And the police are like, and what does that... Why does that make him the devil?
Right. So I don't think that's what makes him the devil.
Maybe because he was doing construction through the night. Because I wouldn't like that motherfucker either if he was my neighbor.
I think it's because the construction worker had hooves and
probably makes him even noisier.
He was probably like breathing
no
fire
hammers or nothing. Just like clonking his like
hoof
and then looking at his neighbor. What?
They're like, oh,
I can't come out during the day.
The fucking devil's out here building a
horns.
Well, but this is the fun. It's funny to me to think that the devil was a shoddy craftsman. Strange tales say that the devil started the house with one room and then added another to it each night. Apparently, he did such a poor job of the construction. Later legends recall that no two rooms had the same floor level. All over the house, steps led up and down to enter one room after another. So, like, you'd come to the second floor, but the floor would be, like, dipped, kind of like it is here. So then he had to build more steps.
The devil built this house?
Yeah.
Listen, I just don't think the devil gave a fuck.
He didn't. He's just like,
kind of like, I don't have time to wait on things to like settle and whatnot or measure things out. I'm a fucking devil.
Fuck this shit. I'm just gonna build it. This is my land.
Yeah, he's just going. So like, whatever. I wouldn't expect him to be a great craftsman.
But okay, so the devil built this house for his lady, the lady that we talked about earlier on, the dark-haired beauty.
Right, she's a hottie.
She was a French woman named Madeleine.
Of course she is.
Frenau, I think, or Frenau. I'm not really sure how you would pronounce it. Yes, that's it.
2
Madeleine
years of French. It's like, yep, could not help you with anything. Je m'appelle Wendy. That's as far as I can go.
Excellent. So this is Gemma, not Gemma. No, because that's me. So
no,
Gemma.
Right? Oh. Yeah, that's like my name is. So,
she was said to be a very beautiful young woman who wanted nothing. She was just not like, she wasn't like materialistic or whatever. She was just a beautiful lady and happened to catch the eye of the devil. Right?
So she wasn't real.
She wasn't real. Right. No servants stayed in the house. And it's funny that it says this, the old timers recalled. But the spirits of the dead kept the place clean and served Madeleine her meals.
Oh, her name's Madeleine. Now we have a name for her.
Oh, I had that. Madeleine Frenau.
You did say
I
that.
did say that. Yeah.
Hello. I'll wake up here in a second.
Old Maddie Frenau. Then one day, the beautiful French woman disappeared without a trace, and the house was abandoned. For several years, it remained empty. The windows grew dark, and the ornate decor of the mansion was covered with dirt and grime. Vines and mold grew over the bricks, and the house began to fall into a state of decay.
Wait, what happened? Where'd he go?
Hang on a second. I'm about to get to it.
Did he leave her?
No, he didn't.
Oh, he's still there.
He's the devil.
This is the look that they dig.
No, it's not like that either.
Okay.
It gets spicy. About 1840, the house was sold and a family moved into it. Soon, however, they began to speak of ghosts. The family attempted...
the devil didn't move out, right?
It's not like that at all. Hang on. Okay. Seriously, it's wild. The family attempted to entertain and hold lavish parties in the mansion, but the place was so forbidding and oppressive that they eventually fled the house in horror. The spectral events that finally drove them away were centered in the great dining room of the house. The huge room ran the entire width of the mansion and it was a shadowy, gloomy place with steps that entered the central hall, the butler's pantry, and rear yard. It was in this room that a blood-curdling tableau...
What?
Tableau?
I think you're going to have to Google and tell me what that is.
Okay, well, hang on. It was in this room that a blood-curdling tableau was enacted every night. It was a story that played out like...
Oh, but you don't mean like they performed a story.
No.
You mean like a residual energy.
It was a residual energy.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Does everybody know this word? Am I an idiot?
No. Did you hear the way I said it? Tableau. Apparently, I don't know this word either. It's not...
Good. So we're together on this. All right.
No matter what other furniture was present in the room, an enormous dining table would appear. Yes.
Whoa.
No matter what other furniture was in this room, a fucking
I love
dining
how
room
you're
table.
talking about the devil, and then the second you say ghost furniture,
right.
I talk about ghost furniture. I'm like, whoa.
Hold the phone. Ghost furniture?
I mean, the devil, I get it.
Okay, so what? But let's talk about this fucking furniture.
So furniture just appeared.
Yep. An enormous dining room table would appear in the chamber as the sun began to set. It would materialize beneath the crystal chandelier and would be covered with white linen. 2 places were set at the table with heavy silver crystal plates and glistening goblets. Fancy shit.
Love me a good goblet.
You know? Before each place setting, a figure would appear, one of a man and the other of a woman with dark hair and alabaster skin. White as fuck. No voices were heard, although the phantoms appeared to be in deep conversation. Then suddenly the eyes of the woman flared as she sprang from her seat. She snatched up a cloth napkin from the table and then pounced on her companion. The cloth was twisted around his neck as she pulled it tighter and tighter. His face turned crimson in color, and then blood burst from his mouth, spewing completely just all over that beautiful ghostly table.
Nice. Did it leave ghostly blood that like went away?
Yeah, this whole thing. This is me knocking on that thing.
Yeah.
This
Good.
whole thing played out in this just like rerun.
And they just watched it every day.
Well,
because there was no TV.
Some people did. Some people were like, "The fuck," and they split.
Yeah.
So
but like you and I would be like,
we'd watch it every night. Every night. The woman pulled at the knot of the napkin until the man finally ceased to struggle. He collapsed onto the table, and the woman stared at him with satisfaction. She was pretty proud of herself for killing this dude.
She's the devil.
Then she
saw role reversal there.
No, this is crazy. No, this is crazy.
God, I keep waiting for this.
Then she saw her hands, which were stained with the man's blood. Her eyes widened in horror, and she tried to wipe the gore onto the man's clothing. It's like, she was like, she
rub
had
the snot off your nose and then wipe it on somebody else.
Yeah, she didn't actually think she'd get the trail on her sleeve when she wiped her and then she was like, ew, that's like a buggy. So then she tried to wipe it on the man, but it was like his blood. It was sort of the same situation. She's like, nope, I gotta wipe this shit off. No matter what she touched, she would leave red streaks behind. Like she had blood all over herself.
Okay. I'm just following this story
because
I'm like,
it's a ghost story.
Remind yourself that this is an image that isn't real.
Right.
That they're watching.
They're watching. Yeah.
Right. So this is possibly not a real murder. Let's go.
Okay. Finally, she ran from the room, stumbling up and down the steps many times until she just disappears in this instance. The terrible scene replayed itself over and over again, year after year. Each new tenant who moved into the house soon abandoned it again. Some stayed a week, others a month, and a few only a single night. And I'll go back to what you just said. No, this is a true event that happened.
But did anybody know about this beforehand?
No, they're moving into this house. That's a cool ass house.
And then they're getting to see it.
Yeah, and then they're like, no.
But okay, I'm just gonna have to keep listening because I'm like, but there's a body, and she ran off. So like, okay, maybe she can get away, but somebody's still gonna find.
No, this one's wild.
The devil's body, or does it just dissipate?
Okay. One act
Why was she so mad? I thought she didn't want anything but love from the devil.
That's all that she wanted was love.
Okay.
One act of the macabre play was more than enough to convince the people who owned the house that they wanted no part of the mansion. Only one family remained in the house for any length of time, that of Charles B. Larandon and his wife, Laura Beauregard Larandon, the daughter of a Confederate general, Pierre Beauregard. Apparently
I've heard of him.
Yeah, of course. Right. That's why I had to say the name. Apparently, the Larandon family witnessed the ghostly murder take place a number of times, but somehow they became accepting of it.
They were like us. They were
exactly. Well,
that's odd.
Yeah. Interesting. All right.
Every time it started back up, they were like, get the popcorn. Let's see if something different happens this time.
I mean, this house, honestly, it sounds like it's huge. So they're just like, okay, it's 8:00. We just can't go into that room.
Right. Yeah, I would do that when I didn't care about watching it. But also probably curious. Is it going to be different? Like the next time? They didn't have TV.
We would go every single time. We would look at every different thing. For like a month, we'd probably watch the scene. And then we would start looking at other things, right, that were happening in the room just to try and piece it all together. Apparently, they loved the house and found that the haunting was a small price to pay for the long halls, comfortable window seats, Italian fountain, and the richly carved marble fireplaces. They were just like, so the fuck what?
Fuck, I love a good window seat.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're so cute.
Richly carved marble fireplaces. I mean...
We know how important that is.
I'm sure they got this place at a steal. So they're
bet.
Okay, so what? They're not hurting us. So what?
No, they're like you said, Which is everybody. It's 8:00. Avoid the dining room.
Right. Yeah. This whole thing, it's like 30 minutes long. Just let it do its thing. You don't hear anything. You just watch it. They remained in the mansion for several years.
Nice.
Yeah, and their infant daughter. Oh, and then their infant daughter died.
What?
I mean, it was the time, when
you let me get all excited about this family.
This wasn't like a.
It had nothing to do with it.
No, it had nothing to do with it.
I got that.
Unfortunately, Laura also passed away a short time later.
Yeah, sad, or maybe sick.
Maybe sick. Yeah,
too.
Broken and shattered, Charles stayed on in the house and became a recluse. He turned away from his family, his old friends, and his well-meaning neighbors, and immersed himself in in his own sad and lonely world.
That can't be good. Not in a house like that. I mean, when that TV show keeps playing in the dining room, you'd be like, "Oh, I got nobody else to talk to."
Actually, it did suck that this happened to him, but it was good for the rest of the world because he had only the ghost to keep him company, and he decided to keep detailed and eccentric journals and diaries of his many experiences with them.
Wait, that kind of sounds like us.
Right, exactly. So he started investigating the fuck out of what was happening. His notes eventually...
I'd rather hang out with the dead than the living.
Right.
Except for one of them is the devil.
This was happening often enough that, he, like I said... They had been there for so long, they knew that it was happening, but nobody paid attention to it anymore. It was just like, yep, it's 8:00, ding, ding, let's just whatever. His notes eventually unveiled the secrets of the mysterious house and the gruesome murder. Charles claimed that when the devil built the mansion for his lover, he never dreamed that she would take up his wicked ways and betray him.
Oh.
Madeline had not been ensconced in the house for long before she had begun to grow lonely and tired of the mansion's lifeless rooms. She was left alone to wander the place while the devil basically went out and did his shit for days at a time. He was gone, and she was in the house by herself.
What does the devil go out to do?
Devilish things, I guess he does.
Oh. So many things.
So many devilish things, right?
Just goes around pantsing people.
I don't know. It doesn't actually describe the things that he does, but he's the devil, so he's doing things.
Politics.
Yeah, probably politics. Probably mostly politics, if I had to guess.
Yeah. All the way to the top.
Yep. In time, she found her own lover, a young Creole man named Alcide Cancine. I don't know.
She could have just had a conversation with the devil and been like, I feel like you're not paying enough attention to me.
Yeah, but he was not around often enough, I guess. When he was around, it was only for one thing, and then he was gone the next time. I don't know. He just wasn't there.
I know what it's like to not feel appreciated. But this isn't the proper way to go about it, honey.
No. Right. You see what's happening here.
I see where it's going now.
Alcide was a vain and heartless man, but the two of them found such physical pleasure in each other that they were unable to stay apart.
Gross.
Yep.
I'm just
Basically, he came to the mansion as often as he could, unaware that he had a diabolical rival for Madeline's affections.
Oh, he didn't know he was dating the devil's girlfriend?
No, ain't that some fucked up shit?
What happens when she tells him that?
Oh, that's not
my
actually
boo
how it
thing's
goes.
Actually,
No.
Satan.
No,
is that okay?
You assume that that's what happens, but that's not what happens. One night, Alcide was in a foul mood. Madeline asked him what was wrong, and he told her of a strange encounter that had taken place a few hours earlier. He had been on his way to her home when he was stopped on the street by a tall, dark-haired man with burning eyes. The stranger pointedly asked him if he knew Madeline Frenot. Alcide replied truthfully that she was his lover, and in fact, he was on his way to see her that very moment.
Damn, that's a little TMI right there.
That's my girl. Well, he was probably, in this day and age, he's probably like, yeah, dog, that's my girl, But back then...
I know he said he didn't know who he was up against, but did he not know she had another man? Mm-mm. Oh, well, I can see where he would be like, that's my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. But, to bust her out if he knew she was in another relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hang on a second. You would think that was kind of cold. I did already point out that this guy was heartless, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I imagine they're both not really full of a lot of heart there.
So the sinister stranger laughed, showing off a row of sharp-looking teeth, and confessed that he too was Madeline's lover. However, the stranger said that he had grown tired of her. He offered his mistress to Alcide along with a fortune in gold, but with one condition. Alcide and Madeline had to leave New Orleans, and the two of them had to change their names to Monsieur and Madame L.
Oh, I'm so confused.
Yes, right.
I wish I could be like, I got this all figured out.
Nope. Alcide was puzzled. He's like, the fuck? As he told the experience to Madeline. What could the L stand for? He asked her. She shook her head. I don't know. She replied,
I don't know what that fucker's up to. He's weird as shit and always gone.
But she knew that the single initial stood for Lucifer.
Oh, because he still doesn't know. Because the red eyes didn't give it away to him.
Right. I mean, flaming red eyes.
He was like, are you sick?
The stranger had told Alcide that he could take Madeline away with him that very night. And when she heard this, Madeline was like, yes, she was super thrilled. She's like, that's what I want. I want to be out of this.
This fucking place blows.
Release me. I don't have friends. You talk to me. You come and visit me all the time. Let's go. She had grown tired of her lonely existence and now dreaded the time she was forced to spend with the devil and his depraved lusts. She begged her lover to free her from her prison.
Wait, when you say depraved lust, do you mean he's like into some freaky shit? And she was like, I'm too exhausted for that.
I didn't get all of this. I think that he just was wanting a a booty call. She wanted to snuggle and talk and stuff because she missed him so much.
She was like,
and he's
could
like,
you watch The Bachelor with me?
Right,
and
he
was like, no, I have devil things to do.
I gotta
go.
Yeah, he totally wasn't into her anymore, basically.
This is all about physical pleasure. And she's like, great. You know, since he's a devil too, and there's always about like kind of disappointment, she probably never even got off.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like he just came for his show. Mm-hmm. She maybe even like almost got her there, and then he was like, I gotta go.
Fuck.
And then she's like, what the fuck?
I thought this was
the worst.
So she begged her lover to free her from her prison. To her surprise, Alcide laughed coldly. He too had grown tired of Madeline. There were many other younger and more beautiful women that he could have.
This is not really worth all the trouble. This other guy creeps me out. Yeah. I kind of don't want to be in this situation.
Yeah, but he took it one step further. He told her Madeline was a mistress of two men and, in his opinion, a little better than a prostitute.
Yep. I mean, like, I would do that too.
Well, that pissed her the fuck off.
That sounds ugly.
It was, but she was like super pissed off. I mean,
like, if he didn't know that she was with someone else, and then he's finding that out too, because that's what you said, is that he didn't even know she was in another relationship. Right.
I mean,
and now he finds out he's a little burned too.
Okay,
he's like, I don't like this whole situation I just got encountered with.
I totally feel where you're coming from, but at this time frame, dudes had mistresses like left and right. So this time this lady had her two dudes, and what the fuck? Who gives a shit?
And she sounded mostly trapped in one of the relationships and only wanted to be in the other. But
I don't know who's right or wrong in this situation. I just kind of feel like
none of them. They're all worshiping the devil.
Right. So she was furious, and before Alcide could act, she took a cloth from the table and wrapped it around his neck. With almost inhuman strength, she wrapped it tightly around his neck, so tight that an artery burst in his throat and showered Madeline with blood.
So it's not the devil that she killed.
Right. Exactly.
You can't do that.
No. He collapsed onto the table, a dark stain pooling outward from his body. Madeline tried to wipe the blood from her clothing and her body, but everything she seemed to touch, she basically stained it. She ran about the mansion in a panic and then collapsed onto the floor in a hallway. This is all stuff that this dude witnessed. She was terrified when a dark shadow crossed the lamplight. The devil had come home.
She was scared.
Yeah, she was scared. Because, well, now she knows that the devil knows that she was intimate with another man.
Okay.
He laughed.
And that she murdered that man.
Right. Well, I don't think the devil really cares about that. He laughed when he saw her and her murdered lover. He lifted Alcide's corpse onto his shoulder.
I bet he was like, oh, you silly girl. That's why I love you so much.
He entwined the fingers of his other hand into Madeline's hair and savagely pulled her through the house.
Oh, well, I mean, like, that's probably his foreplay.
They climbed the stairs onto the topmost level of the mansion, and the devil shoved her out onto the roof. There, perched on the peak of the gable, he devoured the body of Alcide, leaving only a few shreds of bone and bloody clothing behind.
I did not know that the devil was a cannibalist.
Yep. Fucking ate that dude. He tossed...
Right. Leave no trace.
Right. He tossed those bones down into the alley, and the neighborhood cats fought over the remaining pieces of this poor man.
Cats are so stupid. They probably went up and just sniffed it a whole lot.
I was so hungry.
They didn't actually eat anything.
But the devil's hunger was not yet satisfied, and he reached for Madeline.
Yeah, I feel like this is not going to go well for her.
Yeah, she began to scream. So just take a stab at what happened there.
Let me guess here. He actually did not kill her.
Yeah, but that's right. He set her free after he devoured her.
I was going to say that. No, I was not.
No. So the house was abandoned after the death of Charles Lorandon. A Mrs. Jacques and her family later came to live in the mansion, but they also fled the house in terror because this shit was still happening. They reported that not only did the scene in the dining room continue to appear, but also that the smell of smoke was often present in the house when there were no fires lit. In addition, they claimed that doors opened and closed by themselves, locked and unlocked, and that the phantom footsteps roamed up and down the shadowy corridors. So they were seeing pretty much all of this shit play out too, but it was just too much for them.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I feel their pain.
You know,
I feel their pain. I think if somebody was like, oh yeah, well, who was the previous owners? Why are they selling? Well, you know, it was the devil, and he ate his girlfriend and her lover, and it just is not really feeling the place anymore. Yeah. I would be like, yeah, you know, cool, bye. And then sage the fuck out of myself.
Right, and it's weird. Apparently they didn't have sage back then because there's no mention of saging the house.
That's been around for a really long time. So if you would just accept those pagan beliefs, and then you would be in a better place. Just smoke it until you don't believe the rest of this stuff exists.
Well, they did do something eventually. But back to the next owner, they said that the door to the bathroom seemed to be one of the focal points of the activity. The knob to this door would turn back and forth both day and night as if somebody was desperately trying to get in.
We should podcast in that bathroom.
Yeah, right? There was no explanation for this oddity other than the ghost of Madeline was looking for a place where she could wash the blood from her hands.
I think the most terrifying thing is to see like doorknobs or locks.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's on the other side.
Nope, exactly.
And you're just like waiting for a piece of my hair.
Right.
Was hanging in the in my blind spot of my eyes. And I was like, as I'm talking about the door,
right.
At the door, I'm like, what the
There's something right there by the door now.
It's just my stupid hair.
Well, it's a bad situation to be in if you're in a house or whatever and you do see something like the doorknob moving because
feel trapped in like
that wave of panic.
Oh my gosh. Awful.
Right.
I mean, but this is the devil. You have nothing against him. I mean, like no power against him.
You've got nothing. He's going to find you if he wants to, right? It's the devil.
This is like fighting Dracula.
Right, right.
You have nowhere to go.
I mean, I haven't tried to fight either, but sure.
I don't want to.
I don't either.
I don't want to be put in that situation.
Right. The house became an enigma to the neighborhood and a place of mystery and rumor. It was finally torn down in 1930.
That was the best use of that property.
Yeah, right. But remained a curiosity until that day. For those who did not dare go inside the haunted mansion, they could still stare in awe at the mark the devil had left behind on the place. It was a stone face of a demon, its lips pulled back in a hideous snarl, looking out from the gable of the house. It was a reminder, some said, that of the time that the devil ate a meal in New Orleans. So that was my short story of the time the devil came to New Orleans. And you know what? I just realized I didn't read the right story. That wasn't the one that I wanted to tell you. I pulled this story out to read and I marked the wrong page.
Can you explain my face right now?
You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, what are you telling me?
No, this other story was the one I was supposed to tell you, because this one actually coincides with something that I saw today. But it was a short enough story, and this is, I mean, come on, I need to do a full podcast, right? So let me do this other one, right? That's It's a crazy story, because apparently every New Orleanian knows about that story. They've grown up hearing that story. So that's a piece of rich culture that now, as we go back to New Orleans, you have that same story with you.
I 100% hope we can figure out where this property is. I think it's insane that multiple people witnessed it. And then so much so that they were like, we can't keep anybody in this house. We're not getting taxes on it. So now we're just going to demolish it. So that means it was either a fabricated story for a house that had gotten run down and nobody was taking care of.
Right, exactly.
Or it's a legit fucking story. Right. Because why couldn't they find somebody to keep up that Victorian home? Right. But I don't want to live where the devil lived. No. That's my... It's time
nobody
to
wants to
story.
Deal with that.
There's a level of how far you will go. Yeah, like you're in paranormal investigating. Right. And I think that you legitimately being like, multiple people witnessed it. Multiple people believe this is where the devil walked. Right. Basically. And this is where he had his lover. So that's like intense motion. So there's going to be him, not her, probably, because she didn't seem happy in the relationship.
If the house was still there and you knew about the story, wouldn't you be intrigued to go and see?
I don't think so. When I'm telling you, I think that's where I draw the line.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I think I'm like, no, I'm good. Yeah. I don't need to go where the devil ate people.
Yeah, right. Well,
I mean, if there's so many stories that it seems like really legit.
There's a place in New Hampshire that have waterfalls, and it's called Purgatory Falls. It's beautiful. We've hiked there before, and the story is said that basically this is one place where the devil was in New Hampshire, and he, I guess, eating there at the beautiful falls, he spilled a pot of beans.
And that's it.
That's the only story of the devil being there. There was no people being devoured, but maybe he'd moved on from people at that time and was eating beans. But it's a beautiful place. It's called Purgatory Falls, and otherwise there's no reason for that to be called that. But there are stories all over the U.S. where they are said to have sightings of the devil.
I can remember I was like 6 years old, and my mom would take us up to the library. Like, my mom didn't work, and like after school and during the summer, we would go to whatever like kid function thing that was going on. Right. She's like, I got to get these two monsters out of the house for some breather or whatever. And so she would take us up to the library, and they would be showing like a video or something. It's all these educational stuff. And one time they showed, I can only remember bits and pieces of it, Chris, because it was so like, what the fuck am I watching? Oh, wow. And they were legit telling a story of a time that the devil approached some people, I think in like Arkansas, because we're from West Tennessee, so like not too far from where we're at, but not exactly.
I mean, I could see that.
And just like approach these two kids in the middle of the woods, and then it's basically just like beware, this is what the devil might look like. Wow, hooves and maybe some hidden horns or something like that. Yeah, of course. Don't take candy from him. Just you're at. And I was like, noted.
Whoa.
What the fuck fuck is going on? This is in the middle of the library. They take us back to a small room and show us this.
This is
And I
crazy.
was like, did this happen?
Right. They made you wear a robe before you.
My mom's just out there waiting,
Get a
reading
drink
like
from this
Stephen King
goblet.
books. And it's like,
You're in a dark room filled with other people wearing red robes, drinking from goblets.
This is not right.
Watching movies about Satan, whatever, in a quote unquote library.
Library, yeah. Sure thought it was the library. It was weird.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So I wonder if like every state has a story of like, oh yeah, the devil was here. This is what he did.
Yeah.
Your state, super lame. Just spilling beans.
Yeah. It's New Hampshire. Come on.
I think hell is where Arizona is, possibly. Like with the heat, a lot of people would tell you that.
I mean, I don't know. I think every location, every state probably has its own hell.
I think it's Yuma, Arizona.
But there's so many different stories about the devil was here, the devil was there, the devil was sighted, you know. So I particularly just thought that story was interesting because, like I said, it was a local legend that probably every resident of New Orleans grew up listening to as they, you know, traveled the streets. They probably know of the exact sighting of that place. I was confused because the other story that I have to tell you is also sort of a romantic story that doesn't end so well. So I marked the wrong page, but anyways, it was a good one to tell.
Well, how'd this romance go? It wasn't with the devil, was it?
The next one, no, isn't with the devil. It's a little bit different. Do you want me to read that one? Okay, so this will be a 2-for-1 podcast here.
This is our early Valentine's Day special,
right? You get two, and they're romance stories. As you could, if you couldn't tell from the first story how romantic that was,
you love.
This is our early Valentine's
romantic
special.
at heart.
This one is the it actually has a name. I didn't name it. And that's actually why I grabbed my book.
Make up a name for it. Tell me the story.
Okay.
I'm good at this.
Not
really.
In the 1850s, a rich Frenchman lived in a house on Royal Street with his mistress, Julie.
My favorite street.
Oh, is it?
That's the street that I kept putting you on because I was like, Bourbon Street smells like piss and it's full of people drunk.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then we probably walked by this place 100 times and I didn't even realize it.
Tell me.
Julie was very beautiful, striking black hair because everybody in my stories have striking black hair.
Yeah, everybody beautiful has dark hair.
And dark eyes that were said to be full of mystery. However, Julie was an octoroon.
What?
Thank you. So when we were...
Again, I'm like, am I stupid?
No.
Am I supposed to know this?
An octoroon is basically, you are 1/8 black, which is also a Creole of, basically a Creole of color. We were at the Rose Down, is that what?
Yeah, and you were reading that sign about the different like mixes. Basically.
Yeah, it said Octoroon all over it, and I was like, I was about to say it. I'm like, oh,
You
Wendy's
said-
gonna ask me what it is, and I can't read this, so I'm just not gonna talk about this anymore, and I walked away from it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just okay.
On that list, it had the different races and what they meant, and Octoroon was on that list.
If there were different blends of people.
Yep,
which
different
is
blends
just
of people. That's stupid.
stupid.
But it meant a lot in New Orleans at this time frame. Basically, relationships between octoroons and elite Creoles of New Orleans was prohibited. Much like drinking at a certain age or smoking at a certain age. You couldn't fall in love with someone with 1/8 of black in them without it being prohibited.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. But it was not uncommon for men to become attracted to octoroon women.
No shit. They have probably beautiful skin.
They were
dark
gorgeous.
hair.
Yep.
Dark eyes, look very mysterious.
Right.
They were feisty.
Right. They had things called octoroon balls.
What?
Yeah, they held these balls as a way for rich Creoles to obtain an octoroon as a mistress.
Oh.
Isn't that gross?
Yeah, this sounds disgusting.
It is disgusting. They were used as personal gain for the Creole man and the octoroon mistress because it entitled the men to keep these beautiful women for their own, and for the octoroon mistress, they would gain in return wealth, personal slaves, and the finest living arrangements.
Right. Basically, they didn't have a whole lot of choices to begin with,
Right.
so they did the best they can to get somewhere in life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, to make some fucking money. I mean,
This-
like, what else were they supposed to do?
It seems like it really sucked being labeled as an octoroon. Most of the men, they had families aside from the Octoroon mistresses, and would often keep their affair secret, obviously, because of their different social statuses. Octoroons and Creole men were not allowed to marry. But I mean, generally, these women were very well educated. They were smart. They could go out in society and do things. However, being labeled as an Octoroon kept them from doing anything but basically being these mistresses.
Great.
Yeah, it sucks.
Love having a vagina.
Right. Historic events were kind of shitty for these ladies. And though Julie was deeply in love with her very handsome and rich Frenchman and hoped that one day they would wed, the Frenchman was too afraid of the social dishonor that he would face by marrying her and continued to keep Julie as his mistress, his secret lover. He couldn't face the music, basically, by...
He wasn't going to give up his social stand.
No.
What?
Yeah, his social standing.
Yes.
And
for her.
Right.
Because he's selfish.
Of course.
And an asshole. And
yep.
he was like, could you just not just stay my mistress?
Right. He's like, why do I this works for me?
A legal thing.
Right.
And she's like, well, I'd like to be somebody.
Yeah. After months of begging, the Frenchman devised a test, which he said would prove Julie's love for him.
Okay. Because it was about her love to him, not the other way around.
I don't know. This guy's a fucking weirdo.
Misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think so too.
What she was asking for.
He told her he was going to play a card game downstairs with some of his buddies that just happened to fucking wander up. And while he was entertaining his guests, he wanted her to strip off her clothing and wait on the rooftop for him until he was done. The Frenchman thought Julie wouldn't take him seriously and continued entertaining his friends.
Shouldn't have.
Julie was so desperate to show her undeniable love for the Frenchman that she immediately undressed and waited on the rooftop for her lover to return. And this was December.
She was just doing what she had to.
Yep.
Plus, you said she loved him.
She did. And she thought that this was going to... She took it as a reasonable request. I have to prove my love to him, and this is going to get me what I want. I'm going to do it.
There's tons of girls that think that.
Right. When the Frenchman finally made his way to bed, he realized that Julie was nowhere to be found. He didn't think that she took his request seriously, but when he found that, he got to the room and she wasn't there, he was like, oh shit.
Oh, I fucked up. He was like downstairs having whiskey and
lots of drinking and playing games.
Yeah. He's like, that was a joke like 5 hours ago.
Right.
Then he goes to bed and he's like, where the fuck is she at?
Right.
Oh, fuck.
Right. I realize now that she's not there. I mean, at least I
thought she would have got bored and came to bed.
Right. He ran to the rooftop once he realized that she wasn't there. When he got there, he found her naked, frozen body curled up in a corner.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Waiting patiently for him to return. Yes.
Since when does it get cold enough to freeze anything around here?
Apparently in Louisiana in the 1850s. Because
I can get that. Climate changes. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
the
close
ozone
enough
getting eaten up. Whatever.
Right. Okay. Legend has it that the death of Julie put the Frenchman into a deep depression because he really did love her.
Yeah.
And he died a few months later.
I say that like, yeah, I can tell. No, actually.
You can't. I mean, it was a...
I just know how... We both know how stupid men are.
Right.
And so the fact that... I mean, he cared about her... Obviously, but he cared a lot more about himself.
His social standing,
and so he probably saw a little bit more like, oh, I was a fucking asshole,
right?
Yeah, it probably gave him some more issues with reflection than it did necessarily like, I miss my lady.
I don't know. In some of the stories that I read, the moments leading up to his friends just showing up at his house, they were curled up together by the fireplace talking about like loving things, that they were just being romantic, and he had devised this arrangement. Okay, you know what? If you want to wed me so much, if you prove your undenying love to me and you climb up to the rooftop naked and stay up there until I find you, that will be the way that you prove your love to me and I will wed you. It was like they were just kind of wrapped up in this lovebird special, and then he was like, oh, my friend's here, gots to go. So she was still in the moment and he was like, whatever, fuck you, I gotta go play some cards.
I was just fucking teasing with you.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, like, I guess I'm such an asshole and so bitter in my soul that I'm like, you and like just that he's a fucking dick.
Right,
that
right,
this was the only way that she could prove her love is by getting fucking naked, because it's all about her body. Mm-hmm. And then he was just, it almost like he was just trying to get her out of his hair,
right,
so that he can hang out with his friends.
And at this moment in time or whatever, she could have been like, well, this is my moment. Maybe him arranging this LOL, whatever, this friends showing up is just me. I have to go out there and prove myself that he really wants to see me out there doing this. So anyways,
she definitely was wrapped up in it, and like, she didn't see it.
She was very wrapped up in it.
She didn't see what was going on. Poor thing.
No. The Octoroon Mistress is what they call her, or Julie is her actual name. She's said to haunt the house, and I can't talk anymore. The house she once resided in. There we go.
Good job.
Some people say on a cold and I decided to not type the rest of the words. On a cold night, you can see her figure pacing on the rooftop waiting for her lover to return. Her ghost is also said to roam the floors of the house, but her presence is a friendly one. So here's the interesting part.
God, she was just all around like fucking nice. So she got stood up naked on a rooftop, and she still roamed around that house like, I'm just chilling. I'm just here. I'm just waiting on my lover. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Right. Just, hey, guys.
Instead of being like, you son of a bitch.
Right.
That would have been me.
That's what he deserved. He deserved to be murdered.
I don't feel any kind of sympathy for him. He's fucking racist, and he's an asshole. And like, it was so rude what he did, and I feel so bad for her.
I mean, I hope
if
she
was like legit in love with, if she wasn't legit in love with him, and she was like, "This is all I can do with my life. I've got to do it." I mean, like, it just sucks so bad for her that she was like, "I'm going hardcore, gonna do the best job ever at being the best mistress ever." And then, like, instead of getting an employee of the month, she fucking dies.
Well, it's funny, though, too, because, like I said earlier...
And he probably was heartbroken, because he was never going to get anybody as hot as her, and probably all the other chicks like her, when he was like, I'll just go to another ball and pick me up another chick. They were like, you fucked up. Yeah. I'm not going for that. Because they seemed like they had a little bit of choice.
Right. The guys did get...
It wasn't necessarily like a slave auction.
Right.
It was more like... which one fits your fancy, and the girl could sway it.
Right.
If she was like, no, actually, I fart a lot in my sleep. And they were like, yeah, I'm not down with that. Well, you should go talk to Julie. She's actually a pro. She never farts.
The fact that they say that he died a few months later, possibly of a broken heart, I like to think that she was more of a siren in this situation. She went back for her revenge. She fucking choked dude out, or went back like as a beautiful...
She drove him fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Is all it was.
Right.
She made him feel awful.
Yeah. I would love that was more of the ending.
And he was like,
all I did
I'm
was
so sorry.
And you did this horrible thing
to me. And then he
like
starved to death, I guess.
Maybe. I like to think of this as more of a Tales of the Crypt kind of a story, if you ever saw that show.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So that's what I think of. I think of her coming back from the dead every night, naked, cold, frozen. And her coming
him to death.
I prove my love to you. Right. Every day. Yeah. So that's how I like to view the end of this story, even though they say that she's a very friendly spirit.
So this is totally opposite of your story of the devil and his lover.
Right.
Where she was like, he's not paying enough attention to me. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Else. Yeah, exactly.
And then he was like, I'm sorry. Did you forget?
I'm the devil.
Right. So like, now I'm gonna eat both of you.
Right. And he did. That was kind of weird. He's like, yeah, that's great and all that you killed him, but guess what? I'm gonna eat this motherfucker in front of you. Tom. Oh, you know what? I could really go for the dessert. Come here, bitch. Tom.
I love you. I love all my desserts too.
I know, right?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. So like, those stories are great.
Well, hang on. This is the part of it that I think you'll really like. The house is now home to the bottom of the teacup psychic readings, and many of the employees and customers have had many encounters with her. They often note her as a playful and energetic spirit with lots of giggles, being heard from room to room. The Frenchman is also said to roam the garden outside of the house, and people who have encountered him say that his spirit is sad.
He's so sad because he's a fuck up.
Right, he is a fuck up.
He's a selfish asshole.
Another strange occurrence, there is a different spirit that roams the floors of the house. It has nothing to do with the story whatsoever. His story is unknown. His name is supposedly Henry Ange Rouge. Henry Ange Rouge. I don't know if I'm saying that right because I'm not French.
Sounds fair.
Which literally means Henry Red Eye. Which I can say that no problem. Creoles would call someone Ange Rouge if they were bad. His name is often picked up through recordings of Julie saying his name over and over again.
Why is she saying his name?
Right, exactly. It's a spirit that sees another spirit.
Or
it's one spirit that can contact you and speak to you about something going on.
Well, I mean, like, has people heard from him as well?
Yeah.
Or only heard Julie say his name?
His spirit is not so kind. His energy is very evil and
malice?
Malevolent. Thank you. I have a hard time with that word. Just reading it is hard for me. And often scares tourists away. At night, after the bottom of the teacup closes and Julie retires to the third floor, Henry Ange Rouge is said to roam the house freely.
Does Julie hang out in the store all day?
Yeah. And this is a place that
she's just so... And that she's still working on that employee of the month. She is she's the bomb. I'm the best.
She is.
I'll follow the rules. I'm such a good student. And then she's like, we're done for the day.
Right.
I'm closing up shop. I'm going upstairs. There's Henry Red Eye again.
Jesus, Henry Red Eye. Hey everybody, Henry Ange Rouge is here. And she's screaming his name.
She's like, can somebody sage his ass out of here?
No, please sage his ass.
He's really fucking annoying.
So
he's staring at me, super rude. He's grumpy.
Right.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, like, what if she wasn't alone on that roof and she's trying to tell you some kind of like they didn't know any Henry,
right?
That. Maybe they didn't know his nickname. Maybe she nicknamed him. Mm-hmm. Like, did her lover have a friend by the name of Henry that could have been at this card party that was, like, slipped away, went upstairs, and was like,
maybe
where's that sexy Julie?
So, I don't know if you noticed,
she's partly murdered.
Her lovely, handsome Creole Frenchman, whatever, is not named in the story whatsoever.
He doesn't have a name. So you don't know if his name is Henry.
I don't know who he is at all, but they have a spirit of a sad Frenchman out in the courtyard, and then they have a angry presence in the house. And what if this is the same person but multiple personalities?
Different injuries.
Different injuries. Different energies.
Kind of.
This is
different energies.
This is the energy of Henry, who told her, bitch, if you love me, get your ass up on that roof naked. And that's why she's always screaming his name. It is unique that a spirit that has nothing to do with another spirit would be saying his name.
Well, we've definitely seen other people claim, we haven't experienced it ourselves, but we've seen other people try to document that this spirit told them that there's another spirit there that's bad. And,
right.
And they should not be connected in their, what was
worlds
their present
or whatever.
life.
Yeah, right.
You know, they didn't know each other then, but maybe one died and of 50 years later the other died.
Right.
Now they're both residing and you can tell that they're both interacting.
Right.
So it's possible that it's an energy from something else and she's like, that guy is obnoxious. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, if they never, you're right, they never said his name. And maybe she just calls him Henry. Like his name could have been even something else, and that was like her nickname for him.
Could have been. And all of the stories,
Henry mad at him.
And all of the stories that I've read about the Octoroon Mistress, I never heard his name. As a matter of fact, when I was typing up the story, I had the Frenchman over and over and over again that I had to remove it so many times because I was like, I'm going to get sick of saying this. So I had to start saying he. I didn't have a fucking name for him. And that bothers me for this story.
And so this is legend, or is there some kind of documentation that follows? Like,
no, I mean, there's documentation as far as
her
she
death
died.
Has to.
But I don't have her last name. And most of these stories, you get a full name. Right?
Yeah.
So I have that she died. And I have that this is like a tarot card parlor that exists in that spot today, that house, and those spirits haunt that location. But as far as I didn't pull up any records or anything like that. I don't know.
But nobody else kind of did either. A little like the devil story as well. Mm-hmm. Those people just vanished.
Right.
Not to say that these people vanished, but like, this is not hardcore documented what really was going on.
Right.
Henry could have been her murderer.
Right.
But the devil is made up a name for like maybe actually a fucking serial killer that lived there and took off.
So the Devil's Mistress name, first and last name is out there, and she's documented as being
her name is, but his name isn't.
No, well, his name is Lucifer, and her the guy that she was like seeing or whatever on the side, his name is out there and documented as well. So I mean, those two people existed. Whether Lucifer exists or not, I mean, I guess that depends on your religion.
I'm just saying, it can be this elusive character out there that's just kind of developed a name the same as a Frenchman.
Could have been the Axeman
to the devil
of New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a nickname for something that they didn't have the complete facts for. Is what I'm getting at.
Right. Well, they don't.
And they did something awful, so they think, and there's don't even know for sure that they were eaten.
No, this was just all the information that poor recluse guy picked up and researched as much as he could because he paid attention to what was happening.
Right, but
he decided
one of
to watch
his characters in his story is the devil. Mm-hmm. So how do you document that? How do you know?
He saw some big ass dude with horns, some sharp pointed teeth, and fire in his eyes.
Right. So this other documented story, the fact that the Frenchman's name is not listed, is a little like
it's weird.
Were they keeping it mum's the word because their relationship was,
right? She was an Octoroon Mistress. Yes.
Yes. So he was
quite possible.
Protected class.
Quite possible, because when I was looking at that list today, when we were at the plantation, it had names and it had a race next to it, and like Octoroon was a race, and
but of course he wouldn't get called out for anything.
No,
because that's how that goes.
That's how that goes.
Well, that's not a very romantic story.
I mean, no, it isn't. Neither was the other one because, the devil kind of devoured them both.
That was a love triangle that went terribly
wrong. But I do have the address of the bottom of the cup tea room. So, if we're inventive tomorrow, we could go and stop by there.
I think the idea of getting they do tea leaf reading there? Mm-hmm. That is pretty. I've never seen that before.
You haven't? And we can get some black tea while we're there.
And I love tea.
It would be, we could stop there after our tour of the cemetery, get our tea, so we can go do some other things if you wanted to, and then we can do tarot cards or whatever.
Do they make you drink the tea? Like
yes, you do. You have to drink it so that they can read your tea leaves. Yep.
You think it's nasty?
Yes, it's black tea. It's not flavored. Maybe we can get some lemon in it, and it'll be nice. I like
unsweetened black tea though.
Oh, I have to have lemon in it.
No, I think I can rock it.
Okay. We should do it.
That's a bottle of water.
I'm like, what in the hell is happening? But I wanted to tell you that story. I wanted to tell you that story so bad because it's a place that we can visit. And then when I saw the shit today, I was like, meh. And I was so glad when you're like, what?
Oh, it's so funny how
I'm like, no, you can't come over here.
It's funny that you ran into that, though, and that you had this story picked out beforehand.
Yeah.
And then you run into those kind of, I'm going to call them racial slurs, because I'm just assuming that they are.
Yeah, I
kind of feel like anything that labels anybody
right.
is like not appropriate. I hate labels.
No, I do too.
I mean, like when we got stopped last night when we were outside kind of investigating the grounds, and they were like, are you ghost hunters? And I'm like,
yeah, right. Oh, are you ghost hunters?
I'm like, well, we got some cameras and recorders, and we're out here in the woods, walking around your cabin.
We should come up with a different name for it that sounds like
just a made up name.
Bad. Just be like, no, we're murder solvers or something like that. Because
what if we were just like, no,
Just
why would you think that?
why would you?
Because you have that camera and all those weird lights.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you can buy whatever you want to these days. Just
Yeah, I got it on eBay.
Yep.
And then you just stare at them
until they walk away,
and
or we walk away slowly backwards into the darkness.
And then the police show up. Were you freaking people out? Yes.
Is that a problem?
Is it a crime?
No, we do the same thing. No.
No. Were you ghost hunting? No.
Why? No.
I mean, I was hanging out by a tree that said don't touch it.
Sure. And a cabin where people were, but there was like a haunted rocking chair. So?
Just act as cool as fuck. Or we can make up our own word. Whatever you want.
Okay. So how about this instead? Someone comes out. We're out there with cameras, and I have the flashlight on my forehead. And they're like, excuse me.
Which we already talked about just how handy that
is. It
is.
is very handy, even though it's dorky. But she's like, excuse me, guys. Are you hunting ghosts? We'd be like, no. There was a murder here last night. Didn't you hear that?
That's the best.
We're out here collecting evidence.
I thought you were going to be like, no, we had read this legend about the devil being out here.
Yeah, that too.
He ate some people?
Did you hear that? People.
You didn't hear that story?
No?
No?
Do you want to hear the story?
And
just wow, we're weird.
It's cool though that you accidentally told the devil's story though when you were trying to tell the other story.
I know,
like legitimately, I had that experience about being at the library when I was a kid.
That is wild,
and that's never left my mind.
I'm sure.
VHS of a guy with hooves, and it was like shot so poorly and badly, and I was like, why the fuck are we watching this? I mean, the whole time I was like, what are they trying to do here? What's the end game? To scare us into not going in the woods?
Did you have to sign something when you left?
My mother was like, these girls keep wandering off, so I need to sign them up for the Don't Wander Off program.
That's what it.
And then they just show you all
She thought she signed you up for the Don't Wander Off
into.
program. She signed you up for the Don't Not Believe in Satan program.
Well, I mean, I think it's the same thing.
No shit. Yeah. You ain't wandering off after you see that video.
Yeah,
you go right to your mom.
Like, I'm going to go ride my bike down the street. The devil might show up. Yep. That could be waiting around the corner for you.
It's very horrifying.
Yeah.
No wonder you don't like horror movies, because they're all in your mind.
Because I lived it.
Right. It's already happened.
I was tortured.
That's kind of frightening.
That was good though. I love those.
Those were my 2 short stories. My 2 for 1.
Kind of love stories.
So I kind of want to do like something like that when I just to mix it up, just to do like a 2 short story kind of thing. Like there are other things out there than just the Myrtles. If we can't podcast together all the time in bathrooms and in awesome locations.
Can't we just stay here forever together?
Would love to. I'm having a blast. But now it's time to go, because you know what we have to do now?
Oh, we have to investigate.
We have to go investigate.
I was like, we might want to tell them about the pineapple thing.
Oh, I thought.
So in our last episode, we came up with
peace out,
an excellent send-off.
Yeah.
And we couldn't decide if we ever wanted to explain it to you and let you in on the inside joke.
Might as well, though, right?
Or if we should just roll with it.
Pineapple out.
We feel like you might not figure it out.
No.
Not to say that you're not intelligent and great, because I'm sure you are. Maybe you already have.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe you're like,
that.
I already know what those bitches are talking about.
Or maybe Google you think search. You know, and we're about to blow your minds, because this is nothing like what you thought.
So we were at this plantation, the Rosedown plantation, where you witnessed like these derogatory terms.
Oh yeah.
For individuals that were from different kinds of relationships.
Great plantation.
It really is a cool home. But that was at the end of our tour, so we were kind of like, this is stupid, we're leaving.
Yep.
So the lady had told a story about when you had house guests, like people would come and they would stay for weeks at a time.
Like 4 or 5 weeks, yeah.
Which, I mean, it took them like weeks to get there. So now they're going to be like, I'm staying for like 2 fucking months or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Out on your giant plantation. You got the space for it. These people had like an entire guest house. Or whatever.
And these beds that were 9 foot off the floors. They didn't have that shit back home. Might as well live it up.
Right. They were living the dream. And these king cotton like plantations and stuff, super fucking uber fancy.
Nice.
So I guess it was tradition. I don't know why or how this got started. I think I missed that part of the story. When you show up, you would get a pineapple.
A bowl of pineapples. Fresh cut pineapples, right?
Yeah, like a welcoming gift. Here you go. Here's a pineapple. Pineapples don't naturally grow.
You know what I have to say? I wonder, did they cut the pineapple every day? Because they didn't actually know when they were going to get there, right?
Where'd they get these fucking pineapples from?
I don't know.
If they had unexpected guests show up, would the lady of the house just freak the fuck out? Or was she like... had a freezer full of pineapples?
That's what I was just saying. Like, they don't know what day they're actually going to get there because they're traveling by horse and buggy across the state to get to their house. So they're not hanging on to pineapple.
And they just show up. But
so
they give them some fucking pineapple.
Right.
They give them a pineapple and they'd be like, thanks for coming. This is great.
It's a welcoming gift. Right. It's supposed to mean, I'm glad that you're here and here's your fresh cut pineapple.
Right. And as all visits from family, wear their welcome out for sure.
They stay too damn long.
As the weeks wear by, you're kind of like, as the head of the household or whatever, the lady of the house, you're like, they have been here for fucking 5 months. Maybe 5 weeks, 5 months.
Whatever. It seems like 5 years.
You're getting sick of seeing their face.
Right.
You can't feed them. It's time to get back to work.
Right.
You know how you kind of like work a little less so you can be social when you have family around. And it's like, we got to get back to some serious business. These motherfuckers got to go.
Right, exactly.
So they said that the polite way of letting people, house guests, know that it was time to go is to give them another fucking pineapple.
Right.
If they had a pineapple.
No. It was to leave the bowl of pineapples outside their door when they woke up in the morning. Right. It was. It was
like, because I guess they got their breakfast served. Which, why are they getting breakfast in bed anyway?
Which is why they wanted their fucking family to peace out. This is getting exhausting, like you said earlier. It's annoying as fuck, and you're having to serve them in breakfast and bread all the time. Breakfast in bed. Sorry, I don't like breakfast and bread. Let me just go ahead and clarify that.
So they would leave a pineapple by their like bedroom door or whatever guest house.
So they wake up, open the door, and they're like, "Oh."
So a pineapple by your door. That would be like, get the fuck out, Bob. It's time to go. Mm-hmm. And or they would get cold trays.
Well, they got cold trays,
heated trays. Mm-hmm. Normally, they would start to get their trays, which I'm assuming would have their food a little
it was
chill.
Their breakfast. They would get their warm breakfast on a heated plate, so everything stayed nice and toasty for a couple of minutes, and then over time the plate became cold. So it was like, you would get down there and get your plate and you're like, something warm and inviting was this warm plate, now it's this fucking ice cold plate and you're like, the fuck.
I think that one's more subtle. I definitely voted that I would go the tray route because the harshness of the
yeah, totally. Which is so
it's bitch
much you know that bitch much. It's so funny because it's all food and it's still all amazing because you're like, hey, free food, you could pick that up, it's outside your door, and just start eating it and not think of a fucking thing. Or
I find cold stale donuts in my break room and I haven't quit yet. You know, it ain't a sign that this shit's over with for me.
Right. But
I think it would take a lot to get me out.
Right. So you go to breakfast with your family. You're all sitting there, and you're like, "Hey, how come my plate's cold?" You're kind of looking around the room. Everyone's like snacking, going to town. You're like, did I offend?
Right.
Did I do something wrong?
That's why I felt like you re-examine your entire life.
Right.
What you've been doing since you've been there. You wonder, is it chilly outside, or are my hands cold? Am I imagining this?
Was there a draft? Was I late to breakfast?
But if you wake up and there's a pineapple outside your door, there's no denying that shit.
Okay, so hang on a second.
So you immediately know. That's the immediate, they didn't get the tray hint.
No,
it's time to bump it up with a pineapple.
If you're at my house and I put some pineapple outside your door, there's going to be a dog outside your door eating up that pineapple. So actually what you're going to wake up to is a bowl of juice. And you're going to be like,
what if you put cans of pineapples out there?
I like that so much
We're
better.
On a budget, bitch, because of your ass.
Do you leave the can opener or not?
No, you're just like,
get the fuck walk out.
This
Your
is
parting
for the
gift.
road.
Pack that shit and go.
That's what I'm gonna start doing.
Peace.
This is how I'll know whether my family's listening to our podcast.
Right. If they start sending you cans of pineapple, or
No,
if they get it when you leave them pineapple.
If I leave them pineapple and they pack their bag and then disown me and never talk to me again, probably.
I mean, I guess it depends.
Like, that's rude.
If they show up and then the next day you got pineapples outside, they'll be like, "Damn, we just got here."
That seems fair, though. A lot of electricity can be used in one day.
It's been too long, guys.
So, yeah.
There's your explanation. I know you needed it.
Whew.
Pineapple out didn't make sense, and
I
now
think that we should have kept it secretive.
okay, let's just edit all that out. Secret saved.
You don't need to know what's going on. All right, so we're gonna go ghost hunt, guys.
Yep, we're gonna go.
So
we're gonna catch some ghosts.
Pineapple out, Chris.
Pineapple out, Wendy.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, we can't just turn the
Bye.
mics off.